good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on when you're watching this. Today, I want to talk to you about how we process information. This is actually going to be the first part of a two-part lesson. In the first part, I will be reviewing how we process information. In the second part, I will highlight how accommodations support different areas of the information processing model. Information processing begins with our senses. Tradition holds that we all have 5 senses: touch, taste, smell, sight, and sound. Truth be told, we have significantly more than those 5. Now, I'm not talking about the I see dead people type senses. Rather, think of sense of balance, direction, and there's more. They all allow us to process information from the outside world. We each receive countless bits of information through our senses all the time, every day. Now, this is referred to as sensory input. Most of the information bounces off us and is never processed. However, when we are able to attach meaning to that sensory input, we can move it further along the information processing model. The process of moving information further along is known as encoding. I'll spend more time on that in a later lecture. This sensory memory is where we hold on to sensory information for a fraction of a second. If we do not attach meaning to the information or organize the information in an intentional manner, we lose it. If we don't encode it, we lose it. For instance, when my wife tells me to pick up milk and eggs at the store, I hear the sounds that she makes. I am then able to attach meaning to it because we're speaking the same language. Because she is my wife, I am more inclined to pay attention to the sound she is making. Since she is making sounds that are familiar to me, specifically sounds that form words in the English language, because I'm able to process this sound in my working memory, I am then able to move the information to the next step, working memory. If my wife spoke to me in a language I do not know, I would hear the sounds, I would give her my attention, but because I would be unable to attach meaning to the sounds, I would be unable to move the information along, to encode it, no matter how often she repeated it. Yet, because I'm able to attach meaning to her words, I can process and hold the information in my working memory. My working memory allows me to store information briefly, now longer than sensory memory, but still brief, for further processing. Further processing reinforces the information more deeply. Here I will pause. I'm going to spend an entire lesson addressing how to move information from working memory or short-term memory into long-term memory. For now, I will simply say that your long-term memory is like an immense file cabinet. And just like a file cabinet, if you do not put information in there in an organized manner, it will be difficult to find. This organized manner is encoding. It's also called a schema. Imagine I took a penny and painted it red. Then I went down to Huntington Beach and buried it in the Sound. Not too deeply, just barely. Now imagine that I asked you to find the information. You would probably search and search and search. This might sound like your experience on tests. I know it's there, I just can't remember it. But eventually you would give up. Now the penny is on the beach, just like information is in your long-term memory, but often difficult to find. Now imagine that I gave you a map to find it, or a metal detector, or even tied a string to it and strung it along the beach. Any of these strategies would make it easier to find the penny. Similarly, schema or organizational tools make it easy to retrieve information from our long-term memory. Now, the final step in this cycle is retrieval or output. During this step, you're using your prefrontal cortex in the brain to make intentional decisions, often referred to as central executive functioning. You're making these decisions about how to retrieve information for your long-term memory. and put it back into your short-term memory, also your working memory, so that you can write down the information, answer a question, hold a conversation, and even drive to school or work. Later on, I'll talk about what to do when you're struggle at any given point. And we're going to highlight how sometimes we have trouble with processing. I'll also speak more about how to strengthen the connections through strategies and tools and specific accommodations. For now, I just wanted to give you an overview. Hopefully this sets the stage. Hopefully this helps. See you next time.